Alright kids, I need to do a better job of telling you what you should do versus what you shouldn't do. Like telling you to walk instead of saying stop running in the house, or reminding you to lower your voice instead of me screaming for you to not yell, and demanding that you go to your room instead of being like, how dare you put ketchup on egg rolls. Well, when I've made videos in the past about AAVE, colorism, and blackfishing, we talked about not appropriating culture instead of me going into great detail about today's topic, cultural appreciation. As a reminder, cultural appropriation is the adoption, usually without acknowledgement, of cultural identity markers from subcultures or minority communities into mainstream culture by people with a relatively privileged status. Cultural appreciation would kind of be like the opposite of that. Let's work our way backwards and focus on privileged status, acknowledgement, and adoption. In order to show you what to do and how to do it, we're going to look at Bruno Mars, who is currently one half of Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak, doing it for the culture and showing appreciation along the way. But whenever Bruno Mars tops the charts, black people try to get to the bottom of if he's appropriating black music. Getting privileged status out of the way, Gene Hernandez, better known as Bruno Mars, has been performing his whole life. He may dance and sing like a black person, but he doesn't. I guess he could be light-skinned or mixed or something, but he isn't. This quad-racial angel's mother immigrated from the Philippines to Hawaii and was of Filipino and Spanish ancestry. His father is of half Puerto Rican and half Jewish descent, meaning Bruno Mars isn't of a privileged racial or ethnic status here in America. Well, outside of being rich and famous. No doubt that he earned his fame and fortune from doing black music as a singer and songwriter for himself and others. He himself being inspired by the likes of Jackie Wilson, Morris Day, and Funkadelic apparently, to name just a few. He constantly gives shout outs to the artists who came before him and showed him the way. And if not saying it verbally, he typically wears his love for black culture on his sleeves. Take his two performances at Super Bowl halftime shows for instance. Super Bowl 48 was clearly James Brown, while Super Bowl 50 was clearly Hammer. We can see it. In these cases, he didn't even need to say it. So yeah, he can show it better than he can tell, but he will verbally let you know too. An example of this is in his Finesse video, which is clearly paying homage to In Living Color, a predominantly black variety show. Bruno said how great the show was and what it meant to him. It's worth noting that the Wayans family loved that music video too. More on black people co-signing in a minute. For further verbal acknowledgement of his, check the, well, perhaps, pinnacle of his career, when he won a Grammy for Album of the Year in 2008 for 24 Karat Magic. Bruno Mars said this.
I would put together a set list like 10 to 12 songs, and I'll be honest, I was incredible at 15. Later on in life, I found out that those songs that I was singing were written by either Babyface, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, or Teddy Riley. I'd like to dedicate this award to them.
Moving on, Bruno Mars has been at it for so long now that we can almost safely assume that he isn't just temporarily adopting black culture. He isn't doing what he does or being who he is just to clout chase and then get rid of it when it no longer suits him. So now that Bruno Mars is dabbling in funk, I'm sure Bootsy Collins wouldn't be narrating the Silk Sonic album if he thought Bruno would be disrespectful. Not that black people co-signing is 24 karat proof of purity and quality of appreciation. Cause we will invite just about anyone to the cookout for doing black people stuff when they don't be doing stuff for black people. Black people were on stage with Miley Cyrus, twerking, and then Middle America gave her credit for it. She disposed of black culture thereafter. You know what? The music she's making now, along with her Rod Stewart, Joan Jett, Debbie Harry look, it suits her so well. I'm not even sure if this is a well drawn out thought, but Justin Timberlake. His first solo album sounded like Michael Jackson. His second one sounded like Prince. I was a huge fan. Still can be from time to time. Then he came out with an album talking about he's going back to his roots. Man of the Woods. Black people didn't like that. Throw the Janet and Britney thing on top of that, nah. And Eminem recognizes that he not only does black music, plus uses it to get himself wealthy, and he wouldn't sell half as much if he were black, but he recognizes that he's modern day Elvis, bringing it full circle because Bruno Mars was an Elvis impersonator. All of these are reasons why black people want to gatekeep black culture and especially black music, and make sure that others are appreciating it, not appropriating it. Black artists lived and died without getting their flowers. And you know who gets that more than any other non-black person? Bruno Mars, who admitted during a discussion about cultural appropriation that it was Bobby Brown that made him want to do what it takes to make it in the music industry. But if we're saying Bruno Mars can't do black music because he's not black, then that's one thing, but it's not cultural appropriation. And are we saying that he can only play half Puerto Rican, half Jewish music? Do we want him to admit that being racially ambiguous helps? If we say that it's not fair that black artists who are as talented or more talented than Bruno Mars aren't as popular nor sell as well as him is another thing. But it's not cultural appropriation. One more thing. I can't think of any artist that Bruno Mars has put on or brought alongside him with the exception of his band and background dancers. They're black, but they always are, aren't they? That's why Lou Reed said, and the Colored Girls say, anyway, that's not cultural appropriation. One way or another, Bruno Mars is used to having the spotlight on him. He wants it that way. And when people give him the third degree about black culture, he sheds his own light on the artists whose styles he has permanently adopted, acknowledging history. So, including the meaning of appreciation, you'll see that Bruno Mars shows gratitude and he's thankful. He shows recognition for black music. He estimates the qualities of subgenres and sounds while giving them their proper value. And he has a clear perception, especially of aesthetic quality. The appropriate look and dance moves and feel and vibe comes with everything he does. This isn't a costume for him. And we can appreciate him for it. We're going to be all right.